was about 14 years old, and Dad came in the house, and it was about 8 o'clock on a November night, and it was cold, and he needed help holding a flashlight while he was fixing a corn head. And so we go out into the shed on a dirt floor, and it's cold and rainy, and he had this corn head in probably 1,000 parts. And all I'm doing there is standing there handing him tools and holding a flashlight, and I'm thinking, why would anybody want to do this for a living? And 2 short years later, that's all I wanted to do. Ben is a 6th generation farmer. Our ancestors came to this country in 1855, and the Bader side has been farming ever since. Farrowing pigs outside is great. It's a great place to do chores. Problem with outside production is obviously the production is not there. During the 80s, we could see what was going on in the hog industry. You know, we decided to move everything indoors in '93. And so when '98 hit, we just made the decision to get out of the farrowing aspect of it. I did that for a couple years until I realized there's only one person making money in that scenario, and that was a guy selling the feeder pigs. So I actually started custom feeding pigs. After about 3 years into that contract is when I found out that Pipestone was putting up a building close by, and I found out there were shares available. I knew a little bit about Pipestone, but the idea always intrigued me because you're dealing with people that full-time are producing pigs and giving 100% of their time to production, to where I couldn't do that on the farm. So I inquired and purchased shares into Silvertop. Joining the Pipestone system has been a great asset. Not only do we get a constant supply of pigs, but I broke with PRRS probably at least once. I mean, it was devastating when you face that by yourself. When you got professionals dealing with it, you still worry about it because it's still money out of your pocket, but it's in the best hands possible. So now we're competing with the integrators. We're getting that 30 pigs per sow per year on a regular basis. And I know we're outproducing a lot of the integrators.
When I started coming back to the farm, that was one of the things he strongly suggested that I invest in first, was shares in a Pipestone unit. So in the Pipestone system, we're involved in filtered barns. We have a lot less outbreaks of PRRS and things like that. Seem to get a much more healthy, consistent pig coming on our farm. So for the next generation of farming, I think that there's going to be a lot more consolidation, just like we've been seeing. We need to be able to compete with those large producers, and I think there is a place for small family farms that are run with efficiency, and technology and groups like the Pipestone system can help us get that done. The Pipestone system shares a lot of common core values that family farms today have, and one of that is pride and ownership, and that's what Pipestone brings to our hog operation. Along with that comes the ability to care for those pigs, individually care for each animal, and I think Pipestone does a great job of that in their sow units.
Well, should we go check the grain dryer and then go down the mill?
The way we were farrowing, in the pastures and the small farrowing house that we had, it would have been tough to compete with the efficiencies of the large producer, and Pipestone allows us to do that and hopefully pass this farm on to the next generation. Someday when my kids are grown, I would hope that they would have some interest in the farm, and maybe that means I did something right while they were growing up. But it's one of those things you gotta have the passion for it. That would be the dream someday, to have a son or daughter come back to the farm.
I'm Lee Bader from Jessup, Iowa. My son Ben and I grow corn and soybeans and raise hogs together. And we're proud to be part of the Pipestone system.